welcome to our diet and nutrition class today. You just got done taking a pre-test, and at the end of the class you'll take a post-test. I just want you to know that I'm not so much assessing your knowledge as I am assessing my own presentation. Your pre and post-test helps me know how effective it is and if there's anything that needs to be changed. So today you've come here because you wanted to learn about how your oral hygiene affects your systemic health. And when we talk about systemic health, we're talking about all the systems in your body. So your circulatory system, your lymphatic system, your gastrointestinal system, your nervous system, all of those systems in your body. So before we begin, let's just talk about things that we naturally associate together. So if you look up at this screen, I have a picture of peanut butter and jelly, quite possibly the most influential food for children under 5, right? Some other things we associate together are movies and popcorn. I don't even like popcorn, but if we're going to the movies, I think about it because we associate those things together. What about cloudy days and rain? If we see clouds in the sky, we almost expect there to be rain. Now, these are things we associate together, but let's take it one step further. Let's talk about cause and effect relationships. So there's things that go together, but one causes the other. Take a look at this guy. If you don't put gas in your car, it won't run, right? You might end up like him right here, pushing your car. Another cause and effect relationship, if you show up at work and you work hard, you get a paycheck. That's a good cause and effect relationship. How about this one, a small seed? If you plant it and give it the right nutrients, water, and sunlight, it'll grow. Can you guys think of any associations that you just commonly make?
I associate teachers in school.
Okay, great. So when you think of school, you automatically think of teachers. What would a school be without teachers? Very good. Anybody else?
Walking and shoes.
Okay, so when you go walking, you pretty much have to have shoes if you want to protect your feet.
When I think of playground, I usually think of like monkey bars.
Okay, good. So when you think about a playground, you think about monkey bars, maybe even some swings. Those are some things we associate together. Thank you. That was great. So today, what I want you to start to associate is your oral health with your systemic health. I want you to take a look at this anatomy drawing of a tooth. Now, you're pretty familiar with this outer layer right here. That's the enamel. That's what you see in the mirror every day when you brush your teeth, right? That's that white outer layer. Now, right underneath the enamel is it's a softer layer. It's much, much softer. It's called dentin. And right in the middle of the tooth is the pulp. And as you can see in this picture, there are nerve vessels and blood vessels that run into the pulp of the tooth. And the blood vessels bring nutrients to the bone of the tooth. And it helps the tooth stay alive. A tooth is actually alive. Now, if this picture were shown in a full human, you would see the blood vessels run down out of the tooth and along the jaw, and eventually they meet up with some bigger arteries and veins down in your neck, and eventually they lead to your heart. Now think about that. Your heart pumps blood to every major organ in your body. So let's watch a small YouTube video that shows how an infection in your tooth can affect the other parts of your body.
Tooth decay is caused by the action of bacteria on the foods you eat. Thousands of bacteria normally exist in your mouth, and most are beneficial. But some of them form tightly knit colonies called plaque, which is the sticky, colorless film that develops constantly on your teeth. The bacteria in plaque survive by digesting the foods you eat, specifically the ones that are broken down into simple sugars. This includes candy and sweets, as well as other high carbohydrate foods like pasta, bread, cereals, milk, dried fruits, juices, and sweetened drinks. When the plaque bacteria digest these sugars, a chemical reaction occurs, and the bacteria produce acid. The acid slowly dissolves the minerals in the outer enamel layer of your teeth, forming a demineralized area that appears as a white or brown spot. In the best circumstances, saliva balances the effects of the acid. It helps wash away bacteria, neutralizes the acids, and replaces the minerals that were lost to acid attack. However, if you eat too often or too many sugary or starchy foods, the saliva can't keep up with the bacteria, and they reproduce wildly, developing even thicker accumulations of plaque. These accumulations keep saliva away from the tooth surface, and eventually, the acids create a hole in the enamel layer of your tooth. This hole in the tooth is called a cavity, and once decay has gotten through the hard enamel, it can grow much more quickly in the softer inner layers of the tooth. Areas in the mouth that trap plaque are especially at risk of decay. These include the grooves in the biting surfaces of teeth, in between.
So this video demonstrated a linear equation. Now, don't worry, this equation is much easier than a math equation. So let's take a look at it in its linear equation form. When you eat sugar, that feeds bacteria. Bacteria, just like you and me, have favorite foods, and their favorite food is sugar. Now, bacteria is a living organism, and just like any living organism, it produces waste from the things that it eats. Bacteria's waste has a pH that is very acidic, and that acidic waste is what eats through the layers of the tooth. If the infection, a cavity is an infection, if that infection is allowed to get to the pulp of the tooth, it can enter the blood vessels, which then can go to the heart, which then can go to any major organ in your body. And that is how infection gets from your tooth to the other systems in your body. Now, most people can name foods that cause cavities. Two of the foods that people name most are soda and candy. Those are probably the top two foods. And then people will list other sugary items such as pie, cake, cookies, donuts, those types of things. But there are other foods that break down into simple sugars in your mouth. In this basket, I have some examples of some of those foods. Foods you may not think of. What about fresh fruit? Okay. Fresh fruit and even dried fruit is full of sugars. And these sugars break down in your mouth and feed bacteria. Potatoes. Potatoes are a starch, and they break down into a simple sugar in your mouth. We have pasta and rice, two other items. Granola bars and crackers. These are some of people's favorite snack items. Pretzels, another favorite snack item. Cereal, all kinds of cereal, not just sugary cereal, even healthy cereal breaks down into simple sugars in your mouth. And then, of course, bread, all kinds of bread. So we're talking muffins, waffles, pancakes, any kind of bread item. Now, the solution to our problem isn't to stop eating all of these foods. I'm going to give you 5 simple, fast, but effective techniques to reduce sugar in your mouth. And I'm going to do it by using 5 props. Now, our first prop is a watch. And this watch is to demonstrate that you should eat and drink your foods all at one time. Imagine someone following you around with a water hose all day long, and every 30 minutes they douse you with water. Your only desire is to feel dry, but every time you get this close to being dry, someone douses you with water again. Okay? That's what it's like when you snack or draw out your meals over a long period of time. Your teeth can't get dry from the sugar, so eat and drink all at once. The second prop is a straw. This is a very simple concept. Drink your sugary drinks through a straw. That way the sugary drink bypasses most of your teeth and doesn't even touch them. The third prop is a toothbrush. Now, most people don't like to brush their teeth in the middle of the day. It's tedious to have to find a seat. You can have your toothbrush, and nobody likes to brush their teeth, not at their house. So what we recommend is dry brushing. Have your toothbrush in your locker, in your desk drawer. Bring it out after you eat and dry brush. Rinse it at the end of the day. A great way to sterilize it is to put it in your dishwasher. A fourth way is to drink some water and swish it in your mouth after you eat. This aids saliva in its job and helps wash the sugar away. And the last way is to choose xylitol gum. Check on the ingredient list. The first ingredient on this gum is xylitol. So all you have to do is look at the ingredient list to see how much xylitol is in your gum. And this is how xylitol works. If you have a sugar particle in your mouth and a xylitol particle, the bacteria is more attracted to the xylitol particle. And xylitol, bacteria cannot digest xylitol. And what happens is bacteria basically blows up because it cannot consume and digest the xylitol. So choose xylitol gum after you eat. So I hope that today you will begin to associate your oral health with systemic health. I'm going to send you home with a handout. And this handout just highlights everything we've talked about. And it starts with the most important question. What are you feeding the bacteria in your mouth? And it gives you a list of the things that bacteria love that you often think of. But it also gives you a list of the things that you might not think of, the things that were in this basket. And why should you care? Because of that linear equation we were talking about. And down at the bottom, it shows you the 5 simple, fast, but effective ways to reduce sugar in your mouth. Now, I'd like to open our class up to any questions. Does anybody have any questions?